take a breath, I'm not gonna lose. This is what I came here to do. I walk that wire and I take that step. Won't look down, got no regrets. Won't look down, got no regrets. I was made for this.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Common Sense with Chief Culp. Thank you for being here. Tonight I'm going to talk about a big problem that all of us have with our out-of-control federal government, and more importantly, what we can do about it. Then I've got some comments I'm going to share about the current President, Joe Biden. But first, a couple housekeeping items. My new book, An Insubordinate Life, is in the final stages at O'Leary Publishing. And if you missed last week's show, my guest was the founder and owner of O'Leary Publishing, April O'Leary. You can see that show on my YouTube channel, Chief Lauren Culp, if you missed it last week. And I'm very excited to share with you guys my story. The pre-sale on An Insubordinate Life is going on right now at chiefculp.com. So I've got some exciting news for all of you coffee drinkers. If you've been watching my show for the last couple of weeks, you know a sponsor of this show is Minutemen Coffee out of Yakima. And they came up with a special blend of coffee and branded it American Cop, just for us. Check this out. How about that? Right? So I talked to Don, the owner of Minutemen Coffee, and I asked him what kind of a discount he could come up with for the individual freedom and liberty loving patriots who watch my show just like you, and he delivered. So if you go to minutemencoffee.com and order 2 pounds of American Cop coffee and then enter the promo code CULP, all capital letters, you'll get 15% off your order. And keep in mind, they sell full pound bags, not 12 or 14 ounce like some of the other roasters, for the same price. So order 2 pounds of American Cop coffee, enter in the promo code CULP, all capital letters, and get 15% off your order of coffee. So thank you to Don at Minutemen Coffee. I think that was very generous, and I know that you'll love their coffee as much as I do. So, all right, let's get to it. We have a problem. And when I say we, I mean all Americans. We have a bunch of elected representatives in office that don't understand their oath of office. Surprise, right? No, not at all. Here's the thing. When you take office and you take the oath, you raise your right hand and swear an oath before God and your fellow citizens that I will uphold and defend the Constitution. That's what they say. That's their promise to us. The problem we have is that hardly anyone reads the darn thing, the Constitution I'm talking about. The very first thing our representatives should be asking themselves when they consider any legislation is very simple. Does the Constitution give me the authority to do what we're about to do? If you can't find that power given to the government in the Constitution, then you should be voting no. The powers granted to each branch of our government are enumerated and defined. Anything outside of that should be a no. There are bills that come up all the time that are debated on at the federal and the state level about things that are not even given to the federal government or the state government as a power to do anything about. Education is one of them. Foreign aid is another. Firearms are another one. Nowhere in the Constitution does it give the federal government power over our children's education. Nowhere. Sorry, I'm kind of fired up. Hopefully I'm not hollering. Nowhere in the Constitution does it give the federal government power over our rights to keep and bear arms. And nowhere in the Constitution does it give the federal government the power to take money from the citizens or borrow it to write each of us a check or give out grants to businesses. No matter what's going on. No matter how much J.T. Wilcox loves getting millions for his business. It's not there. It's unconstitutional. Our founders set up a federal government that had very specific duties. It was limited and it was small. They feared power going to the central government. They set it up so that the states and the people would have the most power. That is why I absolutely love the 10th Amendment. The 10th Amendment says that the power is not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved for who? Yeah, the states respectively, or the people. The humongous federal government that we have now is exactly what our founders feared. There's very little in our lives that isn't touched by the federal government. It sucks trillions of dollars out of our pockets and borrows trillions more just to feed itself. Our founders knew that government closest to we the people would be the easiest for us to control. That's why they put limits on the federal government. That's why there's a rule book that they wrote. That's called the Constitution. Sound familiar? We have allowed the federal government to grow so big, so rapidly, that we can't control it. We've done that by electing people into office who don't abide by their oath of office, and we've allowed them to stay in office after it's become apparent that they don't abide by their oath. The 10th Amendment isn't rocket science. It's very basic in words, but it's very powerful if it's enforced. If it's not enumerated in the Constitution, then it's left up to the states or the people. That is what I love about the 10th Amendment. How simple is that? We, the people, have the power to rein in the federal government, but we have to, first of all, identify those who are not abiding by it. Those people who say that they work for us, but in reality, they don't follow their oath of office. Let's take a look at a couple of our representatives, maybe a few, in the House at the federal level, including two that voted to impeach our 45th president, Butler and Newhouse. And I'm also going to point out how conservative or not conservative Mitch Mcconnell is. I was surprised. You might be too. So I'm looking at the the Freedom Index, which is published online. The Freedom Index is a congressional scorecard based on the U.S. Constitution. It rates congressmen and congresswomen based on their adherence to constitutional principles of limited government, fiscal responsibility, national sovereignty, a traditional foreign policy of avoiding, integral alliances, and it gives them a percentage score. 100% obviously is someone who follows the Constitution 100% of the time and votes to uphold and defend it. So I'm going to go through that right now, and it's on my computer. So let me take a look. Oh, first of all, thank you to my daughter-in-law. Check this out. This is from my daughter-in-law, Taylor. It says, being my father-in-law is really the only gift you need. Love, Taylor. Thank you, Taylor. All right, so let's look at Herrera Butler, Jamie Herrera Butler. So the Freedom Index for Jamie Herrera Butler she has a lifetime score of 60%. 60% over the lifetime of her being a representative. It starts back in 2011. Her 2020 score is 50%. And a lot of people say that she's conservative. Let's look at Kathy McMorris Rogers, my current representative. A lot of people say she's very conservative. She has a lifetime score from the Freedom Index of 60%. Really? Come on, Kathy. And Daniel Newhouse. And remember, Newhouse and Butler were the two that voted in, as far as Washington State representatives, they're the two that voted to impeach our 45th president. So Daniel Newhouse, 4th Congressional District, Washington State, he has a lifetime score. And a lot of people have told me, you know, he's pretty conservative, pretty constitutionalist. You know, yeah, he voted to impeach the president, but he's a conservative. Well, not according to this. His lifetime score is 52%. That doesn't sound like a staunch conservative constitutionalist to me. And then if I look at his 2020 score, his 2020 score is 40%. 40%. There are Democrats in Washington State who score higher on this conservative scale than Daniel Newhouse. That's pretty pathetic. So let's take a look at the national scene. You know, I mentioned Mitch Mcconnell. This is the guy who is the leader of the Republicans in Mitch Mcconnell's score. Are you ready? Are you sitting down? Is 20. 20. Unbelievable. And since I'm on Kentucky, Rand Paul, you know, he's on the news all the time. He's 80%, which is actually not too bad. Thomas Massey from Kentucky, 100%. So that's what we're facing. That's what we're up against. People who say that they're conservatives, but you know what? I don't necessarily believe everything that I'm told. So these are the things that we find out when we dig into how our representatives vote. This is what we find out when we stop relying on the news outlets or what politicians say and actually look at the facts. They all talk a good game, right? That's what politicians do. But where the rubber meets the road is how they vote. That's what we need to pay attention to, because that's what affects us. That's what either grows government or helps it to shrink. Now, this Freedom Index is put out, I think they put out 2 or 3, maybe more, during a legislative session. So there might be 2 or 3 a year that come out on this, but it's available online. Check it out. You can check out any senator, you can check out any legislator in the country. You can see how they vote. So that's what we need to do. We need to find out how they vote. Okay, not just listen to what they say. So we need people that are going to vote to follow the Constitution, shrink government, not grow it. I firmly believe in what our founders intended, which is a small, efficient federal government that stays within the confines of the Constitution, not one that has the tremendous powers that it does now, right? Our federal government is huge. We need people in these offices that first and foremost abide by their oath of office. Now, I can understand, scoring an 80 or a 90, because politicians like to throw crap into otherwise good constitutional bills. And so they have to make a choice on whether the majority of the good outweighs the bad in a particular bill. But scoring below 80%, you should be in the Democrat Party. Better yet, you should be voted out of office. Remember, and I'm sure you've probably heard the words of Thomas Jefferson when he said that in question of power, let no more be heard of confidence in man, but bind him down from mischief by the chains of the Constitution. Our representatives in government need to know that and follow it. The 10th Amendment is key. If it's not in the Constitution, 10th Amendment says it's left up to the states or the people, right? It's common sense to me. So, all right, when I come back, I'm going to talk about the downfall or falling down of our current president. Stay tuned.
I'm untouchable.
Would you have a message for Lauren Culp?
Who's Lauren Culp?
Hi, I'm Christopher Gergen, Senior Advisor to the Culp organization. I spent over a year on the road campaigning with the American Cop, and from those experiences, I thought I really knew Lauren Culp. But then, I read Lauren's new book, and holy there's so much more to this guy than I could have ever imagined. His new book, An Insubordinate Life, pulls back the curtain and reveals the real-life experiences that shaped the conservative warrior many of you got to know on the campaign trail. The follow-up book to his #1 bestseller, American Cop, hits the market in May 2021. But you can get on the pre-sale list now to get a signed copy of the book before everyone else. To get your copy of An Insubordinate Life, visit chiefculp.com. And while you're there, check out all of Lauren's patriotic gear designed specifically for patriots like you. So what are you waiting for? Head over to chiefculp.com to get your copy of An Insubordinate Life today.
All right, welcome back. Please leave some comments on what you think about tonight's show, about the subject I'm talking about. And also, please share this with your friends. I'm dependent on you guys to help me spread this message. As I'm sure that most of you saw last week, Joe Biden had some trouble getting into his plane while he was trying to run up the stairs. He tripped, not once, but 3 times. Now, I don't find this funny. In fact, I find it tragic and sad. I think it's really sad. Someone needs to tell him he's not 20 years old anymore. He needs to slow down and take his time. He's almost 80. He's supposed to be the leader of the United States. We like our presidents to show strength and confidence no matter what party they're from. Now, I know this has happened to presidents in the past. Stuff happens. But when you couple this with his incoherent speaking at times, it doesn't look good to the nations around the world or to, us. Look at how much fun the media made of President Trump for walking down a ramp slowly so he didn't slip. I feel sorry for Joe. I don't even know if he knows what's going on part of the time, and that's sad. If he were my grandpa, I would be doing everything I could to get him help in a retirement home. I think they're propping him up as long as they can so it doesn't look too obvious that it was the plan all along for Harris to take over. We look weak as a nation. And, being compromised by his dealings overseas with his son involved, he is definitely compromised. Just look at how the negotiations went with China in Alaska last week. They own this administration right now, and they know it. That's my take. Please be sure to go to my YouTube channel, Chief Lauren Culp. Click the follow button and hit the bell so that, just in case. If I'm kicked off of here, I try to watch my words, but if I'm kicked off of here, we can stay in touch. And don't forget, chiefculp.com. Got all kinds of swag in the store, and you can pre-order my new book there too. Thank you guys very much. God bless you and God bless America. Good night. I'll see you next week.
I'm untouchable.